Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing great this Friday afternoon. I can see that we have a few more joining in the webinar, so I'll just give it a few more seconds before we start the session today. Awesome. It's nice to see all of you join us, even on a Friday afternoon. I'm sure you're looking forward to having a great weekend after this. Perfect. So let's just begin our webinar today. So to introduce myself, my name is Niti and I'm the Career Services Manager at ElevateMe Bootcamp. And as always, I'm really excited to welcome you to our webinar session, which is hosted every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, where we're looking forward to supporting international students on their job search journey in the US. So today's webinar is very special because it's the first time we have an external guest joining us. So far, I'm sure whoever has been able to join in would have seen mostly the Elevate Me Bootcamp team. But today we have somebody external who's joining us today. And we have Saga Vade joining us all the way from Ohio. Saga currently works as a lead machine learning engineer at Dash Technologies, and he's catered to multiple Fortune 500 companies like PepsiCo and Zimmer Biomet. He's completed his master's in computer science from California State University, Los Angeles. And in today's session, he's going to kind of talk through his journey and his experiences being an international student in the US, all the challenges that he's gone through, and how he was able to make the most of it. Because as you can see, he's had a very successful career transition so far. So, hi, Sagar. Really excited to welcome you to the session today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nidhi, for your kind words. Looking forward to this.
Awesome. So before we move into our discussion, just wanted to inform all of you, we have the Q&A window open on this webinar. If you have any questions as we progress through the session, please feel free to put it up there and we'll pick it up before we wrap up. Additionally, if you want to reach out to us, you can always contact us directly on our number, which is 614-965-8005, or you could email us at info@elevateme.pro. I do have this up on my background as well. So let's get into the discussion, Sagar, if that's good for you.
Sure.
Awesome. So could you just introduce yourself and share a bit about your background with us?
Sure, Nidhi. Nidhi, hi. Hello, everyone. So my name is Sagar. I did my bachelor's in computer engineering in 2013. Then I came to United States in 2015 fall. I started my master's in university called California State University, Los Angeles. I finished my graduation somewhere around like late 2017, and from 2018, I started looking for a job. To be precise, in machine learning. I started my journey in PepsiCo as a software developer, and then in 2021, I transitioned to another company called Dash, and I started working as a machine learning engineer.
Oh wow, that's quite a journey. And so, what made you choose the US? Like, why were you interested in moving down?
Nidhi, actually, a lot of things. I mean, first and foremost, I believe the education quality of US is always top notch. If
Yeah.
somebody who is serious in pursuing their career in technology, then I think US is the place to be. And same with me. I wanted to pursue. So that's why I came to United States. Apart from that, there is US. I would say it's one of the most diverse nation, if not the one. That is another thing. Then also. I see that the future opportunities in the US is abundant. These are the reasons which made me select US over all the other countries.
No, that is very true. A lot of abundant opportunities. Yes, the market is a bit tough even right now, but
Right.
then there are opportunities, right?
True, true.
Okay. So you did talk about opportunities. Now, one of the things that does happen when students come in, right, to the US is that, especially in these days, is that the market is very challenging. I'm sure even for you back then, when you had moved down back into 2017 and you were looking for a job, the job market would not have been so stable, or there might have been a lot of other things that you had to face. So,
Hmm.
what were the top challenges that you would say you had to face when you were here as an international student?
So if I start speaking about all the challenges, Nidhi, there were lots of them. I mean, I come from India. So, once
Mm.
you reach US, you would see an entire different world. I mean, it's a different part of world as well, so there are lots of things that you would not expect. For example, there is a cultural shock you would see. I mean, in India, we used to speak in our mother tongue, right? Which is not in English, but here you have to communicate in English with everyone. Then even the education system would be different in India. You would be forced to have all the subjects which would be identical for all the students, but here you are allowed to select. So before even selecting the subjects, you need to brainstorm like which subject I need to take. You need to speak to professor. There would be limited number of seats. So for example, if you
Mm.
like one subject which where the seats are already full, then you have to convince the professor to have an extra seat, or convince someone else to take a different subject. So this kind of thing, that was little bit shocking for me, since I did not had this thing back in my own country. Apart from that, since there is a 12 hours difference in India and US, you have to shuffle your time to speak with your parents, who are back again in my home country. There is almost like a 12 hours gap between where I was versus in India. So either I have to wake up early to speak with my parents, or I have to stay late. So this kind of thing
Ah,
I saw as a huge challenge.
yeah, yeah. No, I completely understand that. And what you did call out there, how the education system is very different is also very challenging, because when you did move down, I'm sure you had to figure it out first. Like, there's a
Correct.
lot of independent decisions that you could take, which is
Mm.
unlike what you had experienced. So when you had to take these independent decisions, like how did you go about taking them during your education?
So there are a lot of things, Niti. I mean, we have to, figure out. For example, let's say, as I told about, I gave an example of the subjects, right? Then first you
Mhm.
need to see what is the future of that subject. So when I started my master's, okay, in 2015, there was a lot of buzz around like a technology called a big data. So big data is kind of,
Yeah.
it's previous to the machine learning and data science. So in 2015, the big data was the big word which all the company would use. They would hire all the big data developers here and there. And then within 1 year, I started seeing the pattern that now the big data is no more. Now there is a new terminology like a data science, machine learning, right?
Right.
So that is when I came across this thing, and I was little bit interested. I watched little bit YouTube videos. In 2016 was the first time my university introduced that classes. It was kind
Mhm.
of gamble for me, whether to choose or not to choose, or go with some other subject which are more reliable, like a Java development, a .NET development, right? So it was kind of gamble. One of the reason I chose this was, it required someone with a good math into that mentality, and I was good with numbers, I was good with math, so I chose this. And to be honest, I never regretted even a single day. It was the best, one of the best decision of my life. I took the like a primary course, and then I took the advanced course in the next semester, and yeah, I mean, it helped me a lot.
That was quite a risk that you did take, because
Yeah.
machine learning was not as well known back there. And I'm
No.
sure you wouldn't have thought that, okay, a couple of years down the lane, you would actually be working as a lead machine
Right.
learning engineer, handling multiple projects. Okay,
Yeah.
that's really exciting to know. So now that you are on the lead machine learning engineer role, can you just talk a little bit about what the role is, just so that who's on the call can get an insight of what you do on the job?
Sure, Nidhi. So, Nidhi, right now I work on multiple projects. I mean, I started my journey working on a single project in 2021 within this company. I catered a Fortune 500 client, but right now I take care of the three different projects. All these projects are different variety of projects. One of them you have to work with different data and numbers. Another one you have to deal with images. Another one, we have to deal with the videos coming out of the camera. So this kind of thing is there. And I every day, like, I have to shuffle my time here and there working on the different project. We have a wonderful team of another three machine learning engineers. So every day we work together, we find out different solutions to a problem, and then identify the best which works for our use case. We communicate with the client, and if client is happy, then we pursue that direction. So that is how my day-to-day activities looks like.
Oh, wow, that's very interesting. So there are a lot of skills that you need here, isn't it? It's not just the technical know-how.
Mm.
Since you said that you also handle the client, I'm
Yes.
sure you'll and you're front facing to the client on the role, isn't it? So there's a lot of other skills that kind of come into play.
Mm.
So can you talk a little more about the kind of skills you think is required, especially on this role? Because it's not just the technical aspect. There's a lot more to it. So can you just briefly speak about that?
Sure, Nidhi. So as you know, the technical skill is the foremost. I mean, definitely you need technical skill, what you studied in your university, um, uh,
Hmm.
all or YouTube videos or bootcamp. That is the primary. Then also you need like a soft skill, like the way you communicate, right? So
Mm.
there would be a message that you want to communicate to the client. Different
Yeah.
ways to communicate, right? So this kind of thing is also necessary. Apart from that, you also need to know how to write an email. That is also something that many people needs to learn, right? That is
Mm.
not something, if you are graduate, then immediately you can, within the next day, if you are going with any company, then you are no more expert in writing the email. That is something that you also need to learn. So this kind of thing, we really have to figure out by ourselves, like communicating with the client, writing emails, technical skills.
Got it. Got it. So it's a very dynamic role, and I understand what you're talking about. Okay, so that's really good insight. Now, just stepping back a bit, I'm very keen to understand what your journey was like. When you were an international student, and then now, like you mentioned, you work with Fortune 500 companies. You've been with PepsiCo. You work with clients like Zima, Biomed. So, what does that journey look like for you?
Okay, so I graduated in 2017, late 2017. I started looking a job in machine learning as a machine learning engineer. But at that time, I did not had any senior or any friend who would coach me or who would guide me in which direction I need to look. Okay, so I would have, best of the best bookish knowledge. I mean, you ask me one question, I would give you multiple answers. But
Mm.
I mean, that is not something that would help you to get a job. You need to get into that mentality. And before this my first job in United States, I never had any professional experience. I did work in India, but that was more like a content writer. So I did not had any experience in professional work. So I was really looking for somebody who can coach me on how to find a job in machine learning engineer. I wasted, I would say, almost like a month and a half. But then I thought, I mean, I did had my students loan, which
Mm.
needs to be paid, right? And if
Right.
as a
Mm.
student, you have a timer which starts ticking once you have your
Yeah.
room started, right? So I mean, I knew little bit of development, so I coached myself. I did some challenges from the internet, and I found a job in PepsiCo. After 2 years, I started doing my home projects in machine learning. I started taking some challenges from the internet, and by 2020, 2021, machine learning was getting huge. So
Right.
that then again, I started looking for a second job, another job, and that's when I found this company. So I did a goodbye in my previous company and joined this company.
Okay, that's very interesting. But it took you some time to transition out. So you said you didn't have much of a work experience in the past, right?
No, I
So
didn't.
what did it look like when you first moved down to the US? I guess it took you some time to get into this machine learning field. It is not an immediate transition, isn't it?
No, absolutely, absolutely not. I mean, as a developer, see, I mean, development and machine learning are kind of, similar, because you would still be working with the different codes, but they are completely different. They both are different world. So when you are
Mm.
in software development, you have a problem and you have to find a solution. Okay, so there would be ideally only one solution. Like if you want to build a website or if you want to build any application, then there is only one way to code. It can be different programming language, but in the machine learning, it's not like that. So you have a problem and
Mm.
there are different way to reach the solution. Okay, but you need to find the solution that works best in the interest of your client or your customers, right? That is
Okay.
something that is different in the machine learning as well development. So when I started my transition, okay, so inside my head, I didn't wanted to do the same mistake which I did earlier after graduation, which was just have the bookish knowledge. So when I started looking for the second job, I started applying machine learning concepts in the professional environment, which helped me in getting this job. Yeah,
Okay, that's good. That's good. So it is the application of your knowledge that was very critical before
correct,
you transitioned into this.
correct.
Okay, that's great insight. So just a call out here for everyone who's joined us on the webinar. If there's any questions that you have that you would like to ask Saga, please feel free to pull it up on the Q&A section, and I'm sure we can pick it up later. Now, you were speaking about the various hurdles that you kind of faced, right, when you were transitioning and trying to move into the machine learning field. Um, so, when you were job searching specifically, what were the hurdles that you faced when you were job searching? Like, I understand that there was that transitional period that you took, but when you were applying for the jobs, like actually doing the job search, what are the hurdles that you faced back at that time?
So Nidhi, lot of hurdles. I mean, first and foremost is rejection, direct rejection, or no
Mhm.
response. These two are the most heartbreaking thing. I mean, you would read the job description, you would think, okay,
Yeah.
I am made for this job. This is the perfect job, and you apply, and within next day you get a rejection, right? This is the first and foremost, I would say, heartbreaking thing. Then second thing was, you are selected for the interview, but still, you would not. I mean, you would give all the answers correctly, but still you would not into that zone. So this kind of hurdles were something that I saw, and I can also answer on how I overcome. So what I did
Yeah.
is,
How did you?
yeah,
Mhm.
I reached out in LinkedIn to some of the experts who are already, working in some companies as a successful machine learning engineer. I reached out to them. I sent requests to multiple different people, and I mean, I can also understand that they are usually busy. They also have their life. So, most of them would not respond. And again, I don't blame them, but some of them were kind enough to, respond back. And I would say, hey, if you have some time, please, we can connect. And what I would do is I would record my interview and share it with them. And I would just ask them
Oh,
the, honest opinion. And they would coach me, okay, the way you are saying it's all, bookish thing. Somebody can also look it on the internet. It's nothing hard. But what you need to do is get into the interviewee zone, and then you have to answer like that. So this is something I did, which helped me a lot.
wow. So you actually reached out to experts in the industry at that point, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh, their
LinkedIn is
guidance
a great
helped
tool.
you.
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, no, I was just saying that LinkedIn is a great tool that helped me. I mean, I took the premium and I reached out to different people who worked in the position where I idealized myself in the successful
Right.
companies. So that did help me a lot, I would say.
Okay. When you did reach out to them, what was the response like? Did you always get a response back, or were they
No, no,
hesitant? How
Nidhi,
was it?
no. No, absolutely not. I mean, I used to reach out people whom we had some mutual connection, so
Mhm.
that I would hoping that they would be a little bit obligated to have a response, but it's not like that. I mean, I would say 19 out of 20 people did not even bother. Only one, or I mean, so
Oh,
far I would say I sent connection to more than, I would say, 100 people over a course of 6 months, and I only got
mhm.
response for a couple of like three or four different people.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, it is tough, isn't it? It's not that easy to get the response back.
No, no, no. As I said, I mean, I do not even blame them. They do have a life in the professional. So yeah,
Got it. But then I think you've really learned that networking is key when it comes to your job search and building that network in the market, isn't it? And I'm sure even the few who did respond back, the insights they gave would have helped you crack those interviews because you had like an insider advice which was shared.
correct.
Um, so when you're talking about how you've done your job search and how challenging it was and how you had to put in so much of effort, reaching out to 100 contacts and maybe just getting few of them to respond back. So if you were to think about back then when you were doing the job search, do you wish you had certain resources available to you?
I mean, absolutely, Nidhi. So there are two things, right? So one thing is you can always reach out to your professor, right? So professor, I
Mhm.
think that is what most of the intention students do. They reach out to the professor. Professors are excellent in the like knowledge providing, right? They would give you the best of the best knowledge. but they do not have that mentality what we suffer through as an international student, right? So my professor gave me an advice that you can maybe apply five different jobs per day, and definitely you will get a job between 2 to 3 weeks, which was not true at all. I used to do application like almost 50 to 70 per day. I
Oh,
Yeah, I did for months and months. So that is what, right? So the professor would not know the trouble that you are in as an international student. So instead of that, if I had somebody who is already as I told you about the LinkedIn example, right? So if I knew
yes,
someone
yeah.
like that who would coach me from the first day itself, right before even my OPD started, then I think
Mhm.
definitely I would be a machine learning engineer much quicker than the route I chose.
Right, right. The transition from being a student to a, let's say, the lead machine learning engineer
Yes,
would have been much faster and I think
correct.
less painful, right? Because
Precisely.
you have gone through a lot of hurdles before you did that. Okay,
Yes.
that's really insightful. So now what I wanted to speak about next is a bit about Elevate Me Bootcamp. So I've introduced you to Elevate Me Bootcamp. Now, one of the things that we have done here is, the entire top level management, they've worked with international students very closely in the past. They know all of these struggles, these kind of hurdles that students face. And based on the experience that they've had with international students, they've kind of come up with, uh, they've designed the boot camp to make sure that we offer exactly what support is required for international students. And so you were talking about this mentor, kind of like an expert, an industry
Mhm.
expert who's guided you.
Next week's good.
So on the boot camp, the students would have access to like a one-on-one mentor
Mhm.
who is an industry expert. So when they take up, let's say, a data analytics course with us, they will be working with a mentor who's either a data analyst or a data scientist and who has that experience from the market. We also offer like a career coach, somebody who can guide the students on their job application, like what companies to target, how do you actually apply for the role, what your resume should look like. And then you were also talking about the soft skills, right? Which is very critical even on these roles. Because sometimes everyone feels like, okay, it's very technical. I don't need to really think about communication. I don't need to think about email etiquettes. But we also have a coach on board who's going to make sure that you're getting trained on all of these aspects, the soft skills as well. And what the students will get to do specifically on our boot camp is work on these capstone projects and a real life project, which is unlike anything that they get to do in the market. So um, when they have all of these experiences with the mentor and they're able to put it up on the resume, it's like real valid
Mhm.
experience that they have. And what we have seen even in other boot camps in the US is that the HRs and companies are open to hiring boot camp graduates directly into the role. So remember,
Right.
you were talking about how it took time for you to transition initially in your career
Right.
as a student and then to the machine learning role that you're in right now. Though you did do it in your master's, like, you did pick up on all the skills. So we're trying to bridge that gap and make sure that, students are able to easily transition into that field. So, based on your understanding of what we are offering on the bootcamp and your personal experience, having gone through that journey, but having been very successfully navigating it, I mean, you've done a brilliant job at getting to where you are right now. To kudos to you on that. So, if there are students who are really considering joining such bootcamps, what would your advice be to them?
So, Nidhi, what I would say is, I mean, back in my time, if this program was there, definitely I would at least consider it. I mean, this sounds phenomenal. I mean, what I love about this bootcamp when you explain to me is when I compared this to all the other offering that is there out. So what they give is, as I explained earlier, they will teach you, which you can also learn by yourself, right? They are not giving you an expert who would guide you, which is
Yeah.
the, I would say, the missing piece, which most of the people don't realize once they have this 4 or 5 years of experience working in some
Mhm.
company. When they look back, that's when they realize, okay, if I had this, then definitely I would have leapfrogged or jumpstart my career.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I need to sum up, then I would say, yeah, this is exceptional thing that you are giving for intention students.
Fantastic. We also spoke about. I remember when I was introducing you to Elevate Me and the offerings that we have, and we were talking about what students currently have in the market as an option. That is these consultancies that usually have a tendency of faking resumes. I remember you mentioning that you personally did not opt for it. Like,
Correct.
you are a machine learning engineer right now. But back then, though they did connect to you, you did not opt for it. So
Right.
could you just explain a bit about that part? Like, what made you not opt for that back then?
So yeah, so as an international student, Niti, I mean, we need to be very careful on selecting what companies we have,
Mm.
shown as an employer, because what happened is not many students realize. But like for example, if you join any consultancy and if you show that experience in USCIS and you stop your OPT, not immediately, but once you are in your H1, or maybe if you are into filing into green card, then they would be checking each and everything. At that
Right.
time it might occur that the consultancy is not working anymore, or it is fraud,
Mm.
or they would not pick up your call, or anything like this can happen, and this can seriously affect your future. So that's why this is the one thing that I was told before even coming to United States. I had some friends, yeah, I had some friends whose elder brother were already working in US. So that's the advice that they
Mm.
gave, that once you are here, I mean, if you hear this consultancy, then I mean, if you have don't no other option, then at least you can research about the consultancy. But apart from that, you should never opt for it. Instead, you can work from some legit company instead of going with this. So yeah,
Right.
so that is the advice I took. That's why I never opted for any consultancies.
That's great. And though you did start off only as a web designer initially, you still made it into the career that you're looking for, right? So, yeah, amazing. Thank you so much, Sagar. It was amazing speaking to you today. Um, I really want to thank you for having taken time out,
Sure.
to share your story, what it was like for you, that entire journey that you've gone through, and to be that lead machine learning engineer right now. I'm sure it's very proud for you to even speak about the fact that you're in this role. You're
Mm.
working on multiple projects. You have worked with Fortune 500 companies. I mean, these are all dreams that international students have, when they first land in the US. So I'm sure there's a lot of key takeaways that these students will definitely have on the call today. What I would like to just say is any person who would want to have a further discussion or understand a little more about Sagar's journey, please feel free to reach out to him. His LinkedIn profile is www.linkedin.com/in/saga wada/. So I think we can put that up over here as well. One second, I'll just quickly put this up on. Okay, no, this is. Okay, we'll figure it out. I'll put this out for everybody to view. Um, and before I let you go, Saga, there is this one question which has come out specifically, and I think it'll be great if you could just answer that one question before we
Sure.
wrap up. So there's a question that's come in from Priyanka, where she's asked, "Can you provide us with few technical questions for a machine learning
Mm.
interview?" I mean,
Mm.
you don't need to go through everything, but then yeah, if you could throw some insight on that, that would be awesome.
I would say, okay, so I can answer this, Priyanka, based on my experience in 2021 when I was looking for a job and I got this job. So I would say my interview, most of them interview, I would say it's a mixture of your machine learning skills, your core machine learning questions, which you can easily find on the internet, that along with the Python. So this two thing helped me a lot. I mean, I was working as a .NET developer in my previous company, and then machine learning, I work as a Python developer. I mean, the programming language that I use is Python. So I did had knowledge of development, but I did not had knowledge of Python. So what I used to do is I used to uh, just go through all the machine learning concepts, but I was kind of ignoring Python, and that is what took, I would say, like months. Before realizing that okay, Python is also something that I need to take it seriously. So that is my answer. Along with the machine learning questions, you also need to be good at Python. So these two things would help anyone to pursue the machine learning. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I hope that answers your question, Priyanka. Great question. Thanks a lot. And so I think we can move into the next section of our webinar, which is the Q&A. And before we dive into that, I just want to introduce the rest of the panel that we have. So Michelle, if you just come online, we have Michelle with us. She's our career coach on ElevateMe Bootcamp. We also have with us Archit. Archit, if you could just join us. Thank you so much. Archit is our technical mentor. So on our data analytics and machine learning course, Archit is the one who comes with that rich experience, being coming from the field. So we'll take the question answer from here. Sagar, thanks a lot for taking your time out and joining us. I know it's a very hectic day for you, but then yeah, we are really happy that you could join us.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
everyone. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Perfect.
That was just wonderful. Really enjoyed that back and forth. Really, really understood and learned so much. So thank you so much. We have some, of course, Nidhi. So we have some questions coming in, and I believe the first one is for Archit. And so we have one of our folks, hopefully potential folks, sharing if could you explain more about the capstone projects or real world projects included in the curriculum, Archit?
Sure. Yeah, definitely, Michelle. So in this course, we have designed it in such a way that we have two capstone projects and one live project. So the two capstone projects, out of them, the first one would focus on data analytics, where we would be using Python, SQL, and the second capstone would be focused more on machine learning. With the live project, it's going to be a combination of both of them. So basically, the live project is going to be from a company called as East Coast Entertainment, and that's a company that excels in booking events, corporate events, private functions, weddings, etc. So they have, like, they call artists, and they operate on a large scale level. So the main objective would be to, like, gather analytical insights and assess the company's revenue, profitability, expenses, and all of that stuff. So it would also require forecasting in the future business trends and opportunities. So that's where the machine learning part would come. But yeah, it would require the skills of Python, SQL, and machine learning libraries to solve the project. So yeah, students should be pretty excited for that.
I'm very excited for that. And now these are the projects, we can put them on the resume to showcase and students can speak about it in interviews. Would that be accurate?
Definitely. Yeah. Students can definitely put these capstone projects and live project in their resumes on their LinkedIn profile. So yeah, it would be a great way to demonstrate, like, what their training has been and what real work they have done through these projects. So yeah, it would be great for their profile.
Oh, fantastic. And Archit, I believe this is another one for you.
Sure.
Love to learn a little bit.
So I'm so sorry to cut you off, Michelle. But before we jump into the next question, I would like to just add on to the previous question about having this added on to the resume. So typically what happens is, obviously when you're just graduating from a university, you can only have this under your education section. But then when you're graduating from a boot camp and you're actually doing these capstone projects under the supervision of a mentor, it's very similar to doing like a on-the-job training, so to say. It's not very different from that because you're working with various tools, you're actually solving a problem, you're sticking to a very strict process while doing it. So it's very similar to handling a real project in a company, getting that on-the-job training. And so you can put this under your work experience section. And typically how a bootcamp experience is showcased is where you put in the number of hours. So when Archit as a mentor is working with the student on these capstone, let's say on the bootcamp, we spend nearly 300 hours. The student will spend nearly 300 hours on these capstone project and the live project. That's something that they can call out under their work experience section. So it's real value add. It's not fake experience, but it's real experience. And it's something that you can always be proud about and showcase any number of years into the future, whenever you want to transition into something better.
No. Nidhi, thank you so much for going further deeper into that, because I know that's always a concern with our students of what is it going to look like? Please explain it even deeper. So thank you so much for that. Archit, this is another one for you.
Sure.
So hope you don't mind being, as we say, in the hot seat with all questions. Wonderful. Can you explain a little bit about what is the mentorship or the mentorship program, and how does it work?
Yeah, so basically, during this program, the student would be in direct communication with me. So because I'm a technical mentor, so we would be having weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings with the students. There would be question and answer session every week. So students have a lot of support over there. They would be in constant contact with me if they require help on any of the topic, or if they are struggling anywhere on the capstone project or on the live project. When students will reach the live project, we'll be having daily meetings. It will be as you were in a real world scenario, where you would be having daily stand-up meetings for the projects. So it would be that kind of a scenario. So yeah, they would constantly be in touch with me, and I would be able to guide them whenever they are facing any difficulties. I would also help them in their interview preparation. I would be helping them with their technical mock interviews, stuff like that. So yeah, this is basically the mentorship program where I be in constant contact with the student and help them out. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. It sounds like it's very hands-on,
Hands-on.
very
Yeah.
detailed, that you're really working with our students to ensure that they are successful
Yeah.
throughout.
It's not it's not like self-study where you only watch videos on the website or somewhere, and like uh, then you have nowhere to go to whenever you have questions. So yeah, they can there are various ways of getting in touch with me, and students should be able to get hold of me anytime they need, and get their questions answered.
No, I find that very important, that there is really that relationship, that bonding that coming into this, because it is very overwhelming, or it can be. And so I
Mhm.
know that as you're going through an intense boot camp, as the name says, to have
Yeah.
that type of relationship with their technical mentor is going to be incredibly fulfilling and important. So I love hearing that, Archit. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
definitely. And I'd like to add one more thing over there. So it won't be just about the technical concepts or the difficulties they are facing. Also, since I have a background of about 7 years in the field of data analytics, so I'll be able to share my experiences with them. So if they have any difficulties navigating the real world scenarios, I can offer my insights over there also. So yeah,
Oh,
that should
well,
be useful.
yes. And you're also very highly experienced. You're an expert in this field. You know what it takes to get here as an former international student coming in, and then very successful. So you have just such great insight that you're going to be able to provide coming in. Wonderful. Nidhi, okay, so Archit, you can take a break. And so Nidhi, I'm going to turn this one over to you. I gave you a little bit of time to rest your voice. Love to learn, right? And we can share with our folks, what kind of career services does our boot camp offer?
Like I mentioned, Michelle is the career coach that we have on the bootcamp. Now, our career services is twofold. Like, it's not just the coach that is there on board. So we do have a coach who you want to have access to right from the beginning of the entire bootcamp. You will have like one-on-one as well as group sessions with the career coach. And what the career coach typically does is guide you on what are the best industries for you to consider based on your background or your interests. What are the top companies to target? What are the hiring trends in the market right now? So there's a lot of insight that the coach is going to be able to share. And the coach also guides you with how to navigate a successful job search in the market. Now, most of the time I've seen, so I mean, I've worked with a lot of students in the past. I've been in placement teams even in the past, even prior to this bootcamp. And I know in most cases what happens is students just feel like, hey, I should just get a resume, I should just apply for jobs, and that's it. Right? They're not really sure about how to navigate the job search in a very effective way. So what the career coach is going to do is teach exactly how to do a successful job search. It's a life skill, as I'd like to call it. Because once you know the skill, what happens is you not only know how to get this first job, you also know how to get the next job at a higher pay, and then the next, and then the next. And you're going to be amazing at the job search, irrespective of what the job market is. Because yes, right now, though there are some hirings that's opening up in the tech space, with the layoffs that's happening, it's very important that the students are well equipped with what to do next, just in case there's a layoff. Like, they should not panic. And it's very critical for us on the bootcamp that we impart this life skill. So the career services is going to be where the career coach is teaching you the job search, the techniques of job search, that life skill that you need. And apart from that, the soft skills that you need. So you, as Saga mentioned, he's a lead machine learning engineer, but then he also handles project. He also has to interact with clients, right? He's the front face for clients. So the soft skills that is required is also something that we teach on the bootcamp, like your emailing etiquette. It could be your communication skills. It could be, there are multiple things that we teach students on the bootcamp. So this is like one part of what we offer on career services. On the other side, we also have a dedicated career services executive team who is going to do job applications on behalf of the student every single day. So let's say around month 3 onwards, the team comes on board and you have your resume and your LinkedIn ready along with your career coach. And once that is said, the team actually does the job application on your behalf, because we know that you're final semester students. There's a lot on your plate already. You're probably thinking about your OPT visa. You're thinking about the projects you have in your university. You need to also do these capstone project and the live projects on the bootcamp. So the additional service that we are offering is a dedicated team who's doing all the job application on your behalf. And this is going to make sure that you get all the support that you need to transition into that career or into that job that you seek. I hope that kind of answers.
So, I definitely think that was incredibly helpful, considering that we offer so much, including, right, helping with their resumes and the interview preparation. Would you agree that we really work hand in hand with them, and we're really partnering? Would you agree that that's also things that we...
Exactly. It is a partnership. So the students are never alone. There's a lot of hands-on support once they start the bootcamp, all the way till they graduate. And even after they graduate for three months, that's going to be dedicated career services support. So it's just exclusive job search support that we offer. So it's very hands-on, definitely, Michelle.
Okay, so it's post-career, so post-boot camp that they're receiving support,
Also,
not just within the boot camp, is that they're receiving it for months afterwards.
yeah,
Right, so we're continuously working with them, which is fantastic considering the deadlines that they have as well.
yes, exactly.
Exactly. So in the boot camp, do we cover their visa process, what's happening in order to ensure, right, that they understand the urgency? Do we cover any of that?
For sure, because helping students with their OPT visa from an earlier stage is something that we are committed to. Now, we have noticed in the past, sometimes students are not very proactive when it comes to, working on their OPT visa, because they might have a couple of other commitments. Like I said, they have their course to take care of. There might be some part-time job that they're doing. There's a lot for them to handle. So we do educate the students on what steps they should take to make sure that they work on the OPT visa at an earlier stage and they have that sorted out so that they can move into that job search smoothly. And there's no hurdles. There's nothing that is going to obstruct them with getting the job that they're looking for.
Oh, really sounds like ElevateMe is covering all bases in order to ensure that our students are successful in a short amount of time. So that way, the reason that they came to the United States is fulfilled.
Yes, exactly.
We're doing it in a legal way, in a proper way. So that way they can't go on to be successful. That's what I'm picking up from.
Yes. Yes, because see, the options for international students, especially if they keep things for the last minute, are very limited. Obviously, I mean, you have a lot of students who are very proactive, like Sagar, for example. He was extremely proactive. I mean, like, I was so happy and very impressed seeing his profile. And when I did have that initial discussion with him just to understand what he's done, what I did realize is that he's one of those students who was very hands-on right from the beginning, right? And he did think about the visa earlier. He did think about, okay, what kind of job he wants to get into. He was thinking about, okay, machine learning has come in as an option. Should I take it or not? He did his research. So he was thinking a lot ahead, much in advance. Whereas most of the time, students might not really start that early. They feel like, hey, I have time. Hey, I'll get a job. It's not that difficult. If my seniors have done it, I can do it too. So that's one of the patterns that we've seen in the past with students when we were working with them. And so keeping that in mind, the bootcamp is designed to make sure that students get all of these early support to be successful in that career transition that they're looking for in the US.
Thank you, Nidhi. So now I'm going to go back to Archit. So we have a question for you. So Nidhi, you can take a break.
Thanks.
So one of the questions that has come up, and it's kind of a couple of them, is that the students are sharing that they already have basic skills. What would be the point of coming to our boot camp to give them anything when they are feeling, I have basic, I will get a job just with the basic? Archit, can you share a little bit more of the reason behind coming to our boot camp and just how we can elevate them to the next level?
Sure, definitely. Yeah, these days, like the problem is the market is so competitive that basic skills just don't like cut it. So you need to have something extra. Also, like as I told you, the program includes 2 capstone projects and 1 live project. So students might also think that we already do capstone projects in our university or by ourselves. But the thing is, most of the capstone projects that you do in university, they are focused on only a single skill. So, but like what we are going to do here in Elevate Me is that we are going to use multiple skills as it's done in a real world project. You don't only work on one single skill in a project, right? You need to have multiple skills to, like, for visualization, you might use Tableau. For analyzing data, you might use SQL. For maybe data cleaning and data gathering purposes, you might use Python. So in that ways, like, we'll be using multiple skills in our capstone projects. Also, the live project which I mentioned about earlier, that is quite a unique offering, so nobody else is doing that on the market. So I believe like these are the points that differentiate us, and that's why students should come to us, because it will really help them. Even though they have basic skills, it would give them real world experience, which will be quite helpful in securing that job. Because like when you're talking to that hiring manager or to that technical person and they ask you questions related to like how did you work in the team, or like what kind of data set did you work on, how big was the data set, what was the problem that you solved, what was your specific role in that team, then like these questions can only be answered if you have really done the work. So yeah, I believe that this will help them quite a bit.
So if I'm understanding correctly, we are making them more competitive as the job market, if I heard you right, is that the job market, just with everything, as we all know, with the tech layoffs and yes, the pandemic hitting, that the market is just way more competitive, and employers are looking for more than just basic. They're looking for, as we do, these
Definitely.
real world projects, this real world experience, and students and coming in that actually can talk about it and show it, which is what we do, if I understood you correctly.
That's totally right. So like if you take the example of the live project also, so we are going to have students work in teams, and as in a real world scenario, like how different members of the team perform different tasks. So similar is going to be the scenario with this live project too. So students will get in that collaborative working manner, and they can like have their individual responsibilities, yet they work as a team, and they'll be in constant communication with their other team members. So having that project experience will be quite vital for them.
Oh,
working with like different tools which help in daily communication, having those scrum meetings, and stuff like that. Yeah, that would be really helpful.
all skills that they need, not only to be
Yeah,
to do the work, but also to
yeah,
learn how to, like, being in a team, how to succeed in an interview, how to succeed in the US within a team environment, within the company, to staying true to whom they are within their own culture, but also adapting to the US culture, which of course we all know is a little different. We all do, right? Myself
yeah,
included, when you
definitely.
come in to a new company,
Yeah,
you have to learn to adjust. So all of these great things that we're teaching them, which you don't get into a university. I've attended US
yeah,
universities.
yeah,
They don't teach these things. But it
yeah.
sounds like we're doing that as well.
Yeah, and we are trying to make the transition as smooth as possible, because if we'll provide them the same kind of scenario with our boot camp, making the transition won't be so hard. Like they'll be going into the same kind of work environment. They'll already be been having familiarity with what they can expect over there in their new job. And of course, like with the career services coming in, uh, you guys would be teaching them, helping them with the soft skills, and there's a dedicated team who will be doing their applications. So yeah, that's a game changer.
No. Oh, I
Yeah,
understand. I'm a little biased because I am the career coach, but I'm more than excited just having this conversation with you. I know I work with you every day. I am incredibly excited to like continue partnering and to have our students, because this is
definitely.
just an amazing journey that we are setting our students on, and just giving them these types of skills that you don't find anywhere else. There's no other boot camp that actually does this.
For sure.
This just warms my heart to be able to hear you say this. Again, I know that I'm part of this, but hearing it again just always just elevates me.
Couldn't agree more.
Oh, yes. Folks, if you are interested, which I know I am, please check us out at ElevateMe.pro. You can find all of our information. You can find the application, pricing, everything right there. It is a beautiful website. We really do hope you check us out. I know I check out our website a couple of times a day, but we are part of the team that you would be. We do have a couple minutes. You can put some more questions in. But again, it's elevateme.pro. Nidhi has it also on her background, but we would love for you to. She also has the phone number up. You can ask any types of questions. We have an entire team waiting to speak with you to answer questions. There's no such thing as a silly question. By all means, please. But
Yes,
we'll give you guys another minute to put in a question.
yeah, definitely. We'll wait another minute. And in the meantime, any person who wants to reach out, you can reach out directly on the number 614. Yeah, I do have that here on my background, but 614-965-8005, or you can email us on info@elevateme.pro. We'll just give it a minute. And if there are no further questions, I think we can wrap it up for today then.
Yeah. I have to say the questions that you all posed. There we go. We do have a beautiful question saying, will you be continuing with the job searches until I land a job? Oh, Nidhi, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll be happy to take that. So we've designed the bootcamp in such a way that you should land a job in 6 months of joining us. It's an 8-month bootcamp, by the way. And since you have the career coach right from the beginning, and the hands-on support, you know exactly how to navigate the job search. From month 3 onwards, you actually have the hands-on job application that's getting done. Apart from the job application, now what the team does is also reach out to HRs in company and network with them, so that your profile kind of stands out from all of the other candidates who are applying for the role. And with all of this in place, you should have interviews coming in. And another step that happens is when you do start interviewing, Michelle is here to do the mock interviews for you. So Michelle can take care of all of the behavioral mock interview. Archit takes care of all the technical mock interviews. So you're equipped to even handle interviews once it's enabled from our end. So in my calculation, once you're on the bootcamp, it will take you a max of 6 months to get the job that you're looking for. It's a partnership, obviously, along with the student. And ours is an 8-month bootcamp. So yeah, we still have a buffer of 2 months to make sure that you get the job that you're looking for. If you need any additional technical support, Archit is still there. If you need to tweak your resume, if you need to do any other further changes, Michelle is there. And I'm, of course, available at any point to support students with any of the difficulties that they need to navigate on the job market. So yeah, we are very confident as a team that you will get the job before you're done with the whole 8 months boot camp from our side. I hope that answers your question.
Any other questions before we wrap up? We do have a couple of more minutes. We'd love to
I think we can share our LinkedIn information.
Okay. Yep, we can do that.
Yeah, so you guys can have a look at our LinkedIn. If you have any questions, just feel free to reach out to any one of us.
Okay. So we're going to be putting in our LinkedIns that all of you can check us out, take a look and see.
Okay, there is another question that's come up.
Yes, I've seen that one. So there's a whole variety of different questions that appear. The most common one, right, is tell me about yourself. That's usually the very most common. That's the very first one that you're always going to get, whether it's an initial HR or screening. It could be a second round. It could be the final round is tell me about yourself. That's just right. And what we do in our elevator pit in our program is walk you through how to answer it properly. So there's 2 ways. Actually, there's 3. There's the bad way, the good way, and the great way. The great way gets you the job. Right? That's what separates you from your competition. The good is when you end an interview and you go, oh, wow, that was good. That went well. What we prepare you for is, oh my gosh, that went awesome. When it goes awesome, you get the job. And that's what we do here.
Yes, so just to call out, Michelle was just answering one of the questions that came in. It's a great question, by the way. So the question was, what kind of questions are generally asked in an interview, right? The behavioral interviews, especially. And one of the most trickiest answer to give is tell me about yourself. So one of the most common asked question is, okay, please just tell me about yourself. And it's a very tricky one to answer. So yeah, we do give training on all of those. And there are a lot of other questions that does come in behavioral questions. So these are all questions that Michelle will be able to help answer. And so that they're very happy and thrilled with the response that they get from the students.
Okay. So all of these types of issues, right? How do we prepare for questions? How do you do salary negotiations? These are all things that we cover in our program. We ensure that you are successful, but most importantly, that you do feel confident, that you are going in with the confidence because you've all come here from another country, right? You're all international students. You all came here. That takes a lot of confidence. And so to do this and to want to succeed. That's what we want to continue. That's what we want for all of you to be successful. And that's what we're going to want to ensure that you are continuing. And that's what we're building here, which is beautiful.
Okay, I know we have more questions coming in. We just have a minute. We're going to wrap up. We do have this one last question. We'll just take this before we wrap up. Because it's come in with a please, and the question is, how can I negotiate with an HR for my compensation? So if you have any tip, Michelle, that you can just share there.
One of the best tips I could do is do your research. So it's one thing to just call out a number, but it's really helpful to ensure that you're doing research and have that research to back it up. Because you want it in writing, you want to be able to say, based on X, based on where I live, based on experience, based on, where you live, what other companies are offering, in order to show it. Plus, compensation is not just a salary, it's based on benefits, retirement, things of that nature that also is considered. So you want to ensure that you are doing thorough, and there's a bunch of different websites out there, but it's just very important that you have your research instead of just throwing out a number. I joke, I want to make $5 million a year, but no company pays me that. But I can't go into a negotiation and say, I want $5 million. I would be laughed out of that interview. So I have to go in with what is reasonable. And again, confidence that this is my value, this is my worth, this is based on my experience. But it's always based on my research, not just, again, 5 million, because that would be lovely. So that would be my. So Nitty is laughing. She is my manager. See, she's laughing at me. That's not going to happen.
So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for everyone who's joined us today. Michelle, Archit, thank you so much for taking your time out and answering all of these amazing questions. There were some really great questions that came in today. So we'll wrap up here, and I'm wishing all of you guys an amazing rest of the day, an amazing weekend ahead, and looking forward to kind of doing this over again next week, next Friday. Perfect.
Definitely.
Thank you.